Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking, and Hollywood, Netflix, please hire these guys, like literally. In the last couple of weeks, quite a few of you have been sending me a link to this video to my Facebook page, personal Facebook account, Patreon inbox, YouTube comment, random messenger on the street, carrier pigeon, smoke signals. Yes, I got it, I watched it. But jokes aside, I'm glad you did, because these guys did an excellent job, and to be fair, they always do. So who are they? Well, Adoria is a professional team specialized in sword fighting, historical martial arts and stage combat, and they are based in Czech Republic. Yes, just like KCD. Anyways, I'd like to say that I extend much respect to these guys for their skill and dedication, which is why they are now being featured on my channel. As you know, doesn't matter how many subscribers you've got, doesn't matter if you've got 10 million, doesn't matter if you've got 10. If you do a good job, I will talk about you. Today we are reviewing the video you guys suggested me to see, but I'd like to say that they do have other videos on their page that might be interesting for you, and my favorite is actually not the Knight of Hope, but it's Longsword Fight Duel. That one is amazing. So the Knight of Hope is a breath of fresh air in the midst of so much fake and unreasonable combat in movies and high-end productions. Now I want to be 100% honest with you. I'll just say what I think. The first 6 minutes that lead to the actual fight are, in my humble opinion, unnecessarily long and dragged out, but the fight, lads, the fight is where this short movie shines. It's amazing. It's as simple as that. What makes this video stand out is the fact that a knight in full armor is fighting a whole bunch of bandits, and guess what? His armor works. It actually protects from the weapons that hit him. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it, they just made my day. So is the fight realistic? Well, there are a lot of bandits, a lot of bandits, so the end result is plausible but not probable. Still, they safely labeled it as a fantasy short action movie, so GG well played. Now, the overall idea that the movie is presenting is valid. That is, that a fully armored knight, and fully trained knight I'd like to add, would have been a formidable foe, a really tough opponent to take down, and in that respect, yes, the movie is realistic. Also, you have to consider this. This is a knight, so he has been training in combat since he was 7 or so. And even though they don't provide any background information on this knight, you can tell he's a pro. So not only is he trained, he's surely a man who has fought in many battlefields, who has experienced real war, and that makes a huge difference both physically and mentally. And I'd like to take this opportunity to also talk a little bit about the realism of combat from the perspective of someone who has experienced it in battle many times, when he's facing someone who most likely hasn't. So he's probably more vicious, less stressed out, and most importantly, he knows what works and what doesn't in a real life to death combat scenario. To add insult to injury, the guy wears an expensive suit of full plate armor, which is also used to wear in combat. His body is not slowed down much by the well-tailored armor, so he maintains agility. Now, given I don't like their choice of helmet, but that's just me. Bandits, on the other hand, are clearly a group of outlaws who prey on the weak. They probably exploit the elderly, women and children, and don't have any battle experience at all. They have weapons, but they most likely aren't trained in their use. They just improvise. So considering all this, then the fight starts to take a whole new level if you think about it. And that would have probably been the situation if a group of bandits who are not actual mercenaries but just bandits tried to subdue a knight, or tried to subdue a knight in the medieval period. Numerical superiority is of course a big advantage in combat, but they don't use nor know any formation. They are also clearly terrified of him, and this is another point that I think is interesting as we review this movie, to draw and bring up some real historical perspective here. So take this as an opportunity not only to notify those of you who don't know about this movie about it, because I think it really deserves some attention, but also to change this into food for thought. So would a bandit in the Middle Ages been afraid of fighting a knight? I'm going to say absolutely yes. And that's another thing that I love about this movie. It gives a little perception into how people might have perceived the figure of the knight in the Middle Ages. People in the medieval period would have known how effective armor was, differently from our day and age. Tales of what knights could do would have been told in the local town centres, markets and taverns. To the medieval average criminal, a knight's effectiveness would have been a no-brainer. We oftentimes hear keyboard warriors using the internet to say statements such as, "I could kill a knight, no problem. He would be so slow in his armor while I would be so quick," and blah 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 blah. Medieval kingdoms were forged by the power of the lance. Medieval people saw how effective knight armor and combat skills were at jousts all over Europe. So even the commonest of people would have known a knight was not someone you wanted to mess around with. Taking on a fully armored knight in the woods like we see here would not have been something the average person would have wanted to do, regardless of the riches that a ransom could bring back. If you're a professional soldier on the battlefield, then that would be a different situation. But you're an outlaw, a knight is coming for you, you run. Now, given if you have a huge amount of people all going after a knight in an organized manner, then sure, he's not Superman. But that's why I say this video is plausible but not probable. But even if the bandits had won, the knight would have taken quite a few down. And that's also an important point to consider. If you were a bandit and you were going to subdue a knight, okay, but you see that said knight has just cracked the skull open of one of your mates, like it was nothing, you might reconsider. Morale is not a small detail in combat, and people who are not trained tend not to be really good at it. So I think some of them would have probably run away. So again, the numbers might have been thinner. But let's talk about my favorite scenes now. I love this part where the weak small crossbow bolt just bounces off the armor. I think is really cool. This is another part where a bandit manages to hit the knight with his sword, but the armor blocks it. Finally, I can't believe it. The fact that they try to pierce the male here, the male aventail, but fail, shows they know what they should do. But still, easier said than done. You know, the guy is a beast. That's cool, because again, we often focus on the weak spots and we're like, oh yeah, if I fought a knight, you know, just go under the armpit, just go, you know, whatever, in the ocularia with a very thin blade, or just go through mail, you know, but the guy is trained. He knows that that's what you're gonna try, so he knows how to defend from it. And that's again something really cool that we can see here in action. So big thumbs up. I love the half swording technique here. Now that's one of the moments where he gets wounded, and as this Muppet manages to hit him with his knife behind the leg where there is no plate armor. And again, it's great because these people are not just swinging randomly, throwing their lives away like stupid, brainless minions. They understand how the armor works because they have probably seen it many times, and they are trying to exploit the weak spots. But again, yes, he wounds him, but he dies in the process. So sorry pal, better luck next time. Overall, I don't want to show too much of the full clip out of respect for the guys and their hard work. So if you want to see the rest of the fight and movie, you will find a link to the original video in the description below. But to wrap it up, great job. Very commendable one. I really liked the video. It was fun to watch, and it's great that they can do this because it also shows a sort of strength in the point that I've been trying to make, and not only me but other YouTubers in the community of the sword as well, that, you know, it is possible even with a low budget, because I'm sure that these guys don't have the sort of budget that Hollywood does or Netflix. Even with a small budget, you can make something incredibly realistic, and these guys are actually using frigging steel weapons, so I'm sure they're not sharp, but still they are pros. So the counter argument that a lot of people bring up whenever we in the community of the swords, we YouTubers in the community of the swords start, you know, talking about all the things that they did wrong in terms of the armor shown and in terms of the shields shown and the things that we see that are wrong in big movie productions, a lot of people bring up this counterpoint saying, oh, but they have a budget. You know, you know, these guys at Arboria just proved these people wrong. Even with a small budget, you can still get properly made shields, properly made stuff. Well, of course, this armor is not the best I've seen. Again, you know, there are a lot of reenactors that have got better armor, but still it's a lot more believable than the sort of armor that we see in a lot of movie productions. And I'm sure, again, these guys do not have access to the sort of budget that big AAA movie companies have. So very well done, and I hope that this video gets a lot more views so that maybe some filmmaker making something on Netflix will notice them and say, hey, you know what, I'm gonna hire them and I'm gonna ask them to train my protagonist in my movie who has no idea how to handle a weapon, and perhaps we will see a better sort of production quality from now on. Alright, number one, so thank you so much for showing me this video. Sorry if I'm not appearing. You must have noticed that lately my videos are mostly voiceovers, and that is because I've been traveling a lot, but now I am in the United States of America, and soon I'll let you know an update on that, and why I'm here and how long I'm going to stay and what I'm going to do. Alright, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please remember thumbs up, and if you're still yet not members of this community, become a noble one. Subscribe to my channel for more content from the Metatron, and remember, the Metatron has spread his wings. Goodbye.